Same way at home. You should let us know if, even though we did, I think, about 25 products at least, maybe more.
Yep.
Hopefully you didn't feel as though we kind of spread things too thin, and hopefully you feel as though there was valuable information imparted. If not, I welcome your feedback.
We covered a lot of ground, and there's a lot of ground to cover with Andrew's products. There's a lot to know about. Ginseng is one I don't think I've ever presented with you, Andrew.
Well, this is a product that has its origins probably over 30 years ago. About 30 plus years ago, the two most popular nutritional supplements in supermarkets were a ginseng-based product and a ginkgo-based product.
Right.
Ginkgo for its role in memory, concentration, mental acuity. Also, ginkgo tends to help with platelet stickiness, which is good, reduces the stickiness of platelets. And then ginseng, which has historically and traditionally been viewed as an anti-fatigue. It combats fatigue. It's a tonic that's been used for thousands of years in Asia and China. So we have the two best scientifically established standardized extracts of ginseng and ginkgo, and what's amazing is how affordable. These are typically two very expensive ingredients, especially when they're standardized in the fashions we have done them, and you're getting them both in one product, so you're not having to buy two separate products.
There's the pricing in terms of what it will be and what it is every other day of the week, other than when Andrew is here. You can see very competitively priced still for two very expensive products, the dynamic duo, if you will.
Yep.
$67 and change for 240 caps.
In terms of sort of Chinese botanicals, in terms of a very standard approach in China, in terms of fatigue, ginseng is where you go first. In terms of a tonic for the brain, in support of the brain and brain function and memory, ginkgo is where you'd go. And they both work perfectly hand in hand. In fact, I think ginkgo is really, you see them often as, say, houseplants. It looks sort of like a strange-looking palm tree,
yeah.
And ginkgo is one of the oldest plants on the planet that's been around, I think, for hundreds of millions of years, if not longer. So it's fascinating. In China, of course, they have been way ahead of us in terms of looking at the benefits of plants and plant-based supplements. And ginseng and ginkgo have been for decades among the most popular botanicals in America, and we just combined them to make them more affordable and work hand in hand to offer the synergy they offer when they work together.
I think two buzzwords that come out of this are fatigue and stress. Fatigue and stress is something that can affect so many of us for a million different reasons. It might be stress at work, it might be doing long hours, it might be looking after the kids, and a lot of us are looking for something to help boost us up.
And what we also do, much as we do it with CoQ10, we make sure that you get a small amount of the essential B vitamins that are necessary to do the biochemistry of energy, to do the biochemistry of combating fatigue, to do the biochemistry of functioning brain and nervous system. So we make sure that, as important as these botanicals are, we don't leave them on their own. So we do the very best in terms of the art and science of botanicals, and then we really add the science of the nutrients that work hand in hand so you get the best results.
But as you said, Andrew, all of this kind of boils down to a rich, rich history that, you know, kind of precedes this in terms of what people know it for.
No, what's funny is when you think about products like this, here we are, people could be watching this on a handheld device,
Yep.
but ginseng and ginkgo are two ingredients